All right, so I had a few requests for dumbbell only biceps. So even if you're sitting in a gym like this and you have all the equipment in the world, this video is still gonna help you out. So let's get after it. So the nice part about dumbbells, if somebody's not getting the growth or you're not getting the growth you want, you can give somebody a couple dumbbells and watch that eccentric portion of the movement and really figure out where the red flags and where the problems are coming in, because it's really one or two things. So the first thing to watch out for is the elbow. So as they go down that negative, you see them start to flare that elbow out, then you know they're not taking the entire weight and that entire amount of force and tension into the bicep, and they're losing some of it into the shoulder. And the nice part about that, it's not really even an issue with shoulder inflexibility. More often than not, it's just a learned behavior, and that's easily fixed by training your body to keep nice and tight and not flaring that lat, because what happens is people try to protect themselves, and as they go down, they start to flare that lat out and it pushes that elbow out. So you need to retrain your body to tuck that elbow in and just take that entire force. It might be using less weight, but you're gonna get more stimulation and more growth. The second red flag is really easy to detect from the side. So as you're going down the movement, if you notice at some point your elbow becomes in a fixed lock position where the angle doesn't change and the weight continues to go down, you know at that point it's all shoulder, because the only way to do that is actually have your elbow drift backwards. And we don't want that. I mean, you're gonna get growth out of that, but that really at that point is just a static contraction. You're just holding the weight. You're not actually taking the force of gravity down with you and keeping that tension on the bicep the entire time. The majority of the time, that's also just a learned behavior that's easily fixed with some of the exercises we're gonna do, but also just in the moment, actively thinking about making sure that elbow doesn't drift forward and back, because even a partial range of motion, you still want the elbow in a fixed position. You want to be able to keep that entire weight and tension, everything into the bicep. So even when it's a partial rep, you get all of that tension and stress on that bicep. So the first exercise is just a really quick way to start training yourself how not to do some of the things we talked about. But even if you don't, it's still one of my favorite bicep exercises. So what you're gonna do is make a fist, throw it under your arm, and really just turn it into actually one of those old school arm blasters. That's all you're doing here. It's just a DIY, poor man's version. The nice part about this is you can start playing around with the angles, because your arm is already gonna be in the position you want. The elbow's not gonna drift back. So you can start by trying to lean back, actually working against gravity that way, and have the tension more on the bottom of the lift. Stay nice and tall where it's just a normal curl, or lean forward and really get that peak of the contraction at the very top of the movement. Another way you can get some great uses out of dumbbells is by using a wall. Now, we've talked about this before, but we're gonna throw some more tweaks and variations into it. And the nice part about this is it makes you keep those elbows tucked into your side. So if you're somebody who flares them out and you have that issue, this fixes that. It also fixes the issue if you're somebody who, when you curl, that shoulder ends up coming up and you get a lot of front and doubt in the movement. That fixes that as well, because you have to stay locked against the wall the entire time. So all you can do is use those biceps. So the way we can get inventive with it is, instead of just doing regular curls, you can do hammer curls, or even my favorite, you do regular curls, but you come up and you do a 3-second hold, 4-second hold, whatever it may be. You have a hold at the top, a static hold, really squeeze and drive into it. Hold that flex longer than normal, and then go back down. So if you've ever been to a gym that has that hoist line of equipment, which basically it moves with you as you're doing the movement. So the bicep one, you'll actually lean forward as you flex, and you'll notice when you're on those, it gives you a nice great pump contraction. We can mimic that same movement with dumbbells. So the way we do that is by working against the maximum force of gravity the entire time and keeping those dumbbells parallel to the floor. And then from there, you're just gonna rotate your body over top of them, and the position of the dumbbells doesn't change at all. So the nice part about this is you're actually extending the peak of the contraction throughout the entire movement. So before, it was if you're lean forward, you get more of that peak contraction at the top. If you're lean back, it's more at the bottom. Now with this, it's extended the entire time, because as you lean into it, you're working against the maximum amount of force the entire time, because that dumbbell doesn't change, your body changes. So you can see how the stress changes, but again, the force is still the same. The force is still the maximum amount of force you can create. So there's a ton more exercises I can do, but I like to keep these short. So if you want another one of these videos for biceps, let me know. I'm thinking about doing a dumbbell version of this for back tomorrow. So again, as always, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Get after it, get growing. I'll talk to you soon. So if you still find your elbows drifting off the wall, pay somebody $1 at the gym to smack you in the face every time you do it. Seek medical help. Pay somebody to kick you in the dick.